So I posted a long-winded complaint on my Facebook this morning, and people frequently misunderstand and go things like, "Oh God, don't give up your art," or something. I'm never going to give up my art, but um, sometimes I don't know what to do with it. Um, I've been recently. This is only very recent that I've been able to enjoy uh, sharing it, going live and going on video and having people watch me work or something like that, um, instead of the complete uh, silence and isolation that I usually work in. Um, and just as I was saying, oh gosh, this is much better. I'm really liking this a whole lot better. Um, all of a sudden, weird things started happening to me. Uh, people complained, and stuff got taken down, and some of it's got nothing to do with me. You understand? A lot of it's got to do with whatever's going on in the big bad world. There's uh, groups that I joined that I just apparently joined at just the wrong time, or maybe I joined because it was quarantine, and maybe all the things that were happening to them also happened because it was quarantine. So it was bad timing in terms of that, because just as I joined, they were having to restrict um, you know what they were showing and stuff like that, because a lot of people joining the group and a lot of people complaining and that sort of thing. So I've been working on some wildlife paintings. This is a very rude uh, underpainting for uh, a jaguar that I'm going to work on, and that's acrylics on top of a pencil drawing, and those wild colors and everything may wind up completely covered and not uh, not in the final piece, but it puts some color down, gets rid of the white, and gives you a basis, gives you some place to start when you go to the oil paints and do a much more refined job. You're not going to see videos of me doing this, at least not yet, because I don't know what I'm doing. And you'll say, well, that's nonsense. I've seen some really good paintings out of you. You have, but you saw the finished paintings. You didn't watch me go around in circles and ruin something and scrape it all off and throw it away, or paint over it, and all this kind of stuff. So um, I can pick up a pencil and start drawing with all the confidence in the world. I can pick up a paintbrush and start painting 50% or more of the time. Um, that's going in the trash. I mean, if there's no reason to throw the board in the trash can, but if it doesn't go right, it's going to get painted over. So, and that happens a lot. So we're some distance from watching me do painting demos, because I just don't have I don't have that actual expertise. So what we have here is one of my nicer sheets of paper, an archival piece of art paper with an oil blot in the middle of it. I don't know what happened there. Um, I don't know. It could have been oil paint or butter, or just I don't know. So anyway, it's kind of a ruined piece of paper, and I really don't know what to draw today, and I don't know. Um, didn't have any problems with yesterday's video. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put bikinis on every drawing before I start, and then that would be a way to start with thing. It just bugs me. It bugs me to have to do that. But maybe I'll do it uh, if I have to do that. Or maybe nobody cares whether I'm doing figures or whether I do something else. Maybe you'd rather see wildlife art, or you'd rather I was drawing steampunk railroad cars, or a steampunk dragon, or a fish. I don't know. You could you could tell me that. This is turning into a dragon. I've drawn this basic dragon numerous times, but I guess I've never drawn this dragon live and on video. So I'll draw him. I'll go ahead and do it. I was just about to wipe it out and do something completely different, but no, I'll do him. I'm not changing my mind. I'm just softening up that pencil line so I can go a slightly different way. I've been on Reddit for a while. Do you do Reddit? Anybody out there? Reddit is, I mean, social media. It's like Facebook, in a way, but uh, you basically don't really have your own page. I mean, you've got a, yeah, not really. You you create, or somebody creates a subreddit, which is it's like a Facebook group. It's a specialized group for a special interest. So whether it's science fiction or art, or science fiction art, or collecting bottle caps from the 1960s, or whatever, there's a group out there for pretty much everything. And so you just join groups and talk about stuff, or post pictures if you have pictures to post, ask questions, get opinions, do polls. So that was kind of fun. And I had joined some sci-fi art things and started posting some stuff, and that went fine for a while. And then I posted something. I got a note. I don't know if it was automatic or if it was from somebody actually deliberately wrote me a note back, but they were like, um, just seen excerpts from, yeah, people share stuff from Reddit all the time. It gets shared to other things, Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and everything else, and vice versa. But yeah, I'd post something, and we're not even talking nudity or something. I would just post, a dragon, to fantasy art subreddit, and something I've been posting too all along and had good reception. And all of a sudden, I get this thing that says something like, the title of your post doesn't conform to our format, so do it this way. So they wanted it to say, title of the piece, art by me, medium, with commas in between. And I, okay, it's like, That's got to be in the title. So, all right. So I do that and I post. It gets rejected. You didn't pick a flare. I don't even know what that is. And there was no context for responding to this thing, and saying, what's a flare? So there's no box that you can write back and say, well, I don't know what you mean. But, explored this thing and explored it. And finally, somewhere down in here, there's a little button that says flare. Okay, so I try to post and I press the button that says flare, and there's like a little drop down menu. And you can pick something, art or something. Okay, so I click art. That erased my title. so so I went and put my title back in. That erased my flare. And around and around in circles, and nobody you can ask. No, no, and all of a sudden, everything I was doing on Reddit was like that. It was like, you can't, like, nobody's saying, you, Gilead, you're screwed up, you can't do this anymore. But it was almost as if they all got together and said, let's make up some bullshit set of rules and tell him he's breaking them, so that, or something. But, it's like, all of a sudden I can't post anything anywhere. And that happened to me all over the internet simultaneously. And I was just like, oh God. And it was during quarantine, which was just killing me, because, it's like, that was my outlet, my way of talking to the world was through all this social media. And suddenly I'm not being permitted. uh, Instagram, I don't know how the rest of you post to Instagram, but I know the idea. I'm aware that the concept is, you'll go, oh look, I bought an ice cream cone, and you'll pull out your phone, take a picture of the ice cream cone, and post it to Instagram. In fact, you don't even do that. You open Instagram, and then there's a little plus sign, and you hit that, and you use the Instagram mechanism that opens your phone, and then you'll take a picture and it goes directly to Instagram. That's the idea. But when I got on Instagram, what I wanted to do was share this artwork that I had, 10 years worth of posting on Facebook. It wasn't at the time, 8 years, 7 years, I don't know. But all the stuff that I posted on Facebook, and of course I have stored on my computer or on the cloud, and it was like, that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to start going back and have a new audience for all this stuff that people on Facebook have already seen, so they don't want to look at it again. And so I was able to do that directly from Dropbox. Just open Dropbox, pick a picture. Over there in the little menu, it would say share. You pick share, and share to, and then it would, all these different options, one of which was Instagram. I'd select Instagram and hit go, and it would go, and it would load the thing onto Instagram. All of a sudden, that's not working. And I tried to research why that's not working anymore. And as close as I can tell, that's never been how you put something on Instagram. I did it for years. Uh, but I mean, there's 1,000 things on my Instagram, and that's how they all got there. It was just with that track, and then when I research it, it's like, yeah, that won't get something on the Instagram. That's not how it works. So then I have to. Now I've got to, if I want to use stuff that I have archived somewhere, I've got to actually physically load it onto the phone, so that, because you can only send pictures that are actually stored on your device. You can't get stuff off the cloud. Or at least I can't. Maybe you can. And that all happened at the same time. And it's not that I feel persecuted. I know I'm not persecuted. But I was depressed. And the Facebook thing, that was optional. That somebody chose to give me that problem. But people are making good suggestions. I don't know if there's something I can implement. I've never noticed a tool that lets you blur things out. That's one thing that Reddit does is if you choose this setting, you can unselect it so that you don't have to deal with it if you don't want to. But you can choose that uh, anything that's not safe for work, it's just blurry. So if you're scrolling, through all the things that you're interested in, that will do it. That works kind of like Facebook. You go into your Reddit and say you're a member of 15 different groups, art and fantasy art and sci-fi and all this kind of stuff. Then you'll just scroll and you'll get the recent stuff that people have posted on these topics. And then if you click, you go to that group. But that way, if you're sitting on the couch next to your kids or whatever, and somebody's posted a dirty picture, well, it won't it won't show up. It'll just be a blur. And I imagine your 5-year-old will look at that and say, "Oh, I know how to get that where you can see it if you want to see it." That's usually how that happens. One thing I've never ever volunteered to do is babysit somebody's kids. I've never wanted to do that. But back in the 80s, I was working for a boss at the foundry, and he just told me one afternoon, he says, "You're going to babysit my kids." I was like, "No, no, no, no." And he said, "Yeah, you are. You're fired." Nope. So I babysat his kids. And they went out somewhere, and before they left, they showed me they had HBO, and they had some child lock thing. In case it's the 80s, it was complicated. It was some big clunky box with a buttons and big, some kind of code, and I don't know, I don't remember, but it wasn't something I was all that motivated to do or whatever. But he showed me the thing, and he said, "Don't do it if the kids are in the room, but if they've gone to sleep or something, you can do this." So they leave, the door closes. The first thing that happens is the kid turns and looks at me and he goes, "By the way, I know how to undo the code thing, so if you want to watch HBO." I was like, "Yeah, I figured you probably did." And he did, but I didn't let him watch HBO. I just followed a guy on Facebook who makes little sculptures of dragons. They're a heck of a lot cuter than my sculptures of dragons. I should have opened that. Should have opened up his page and copied him. That's what I ought to do. I've got some photos of baby crocodiles, and they really are cute little buggers. They're adorable. But I realize it's because their eyes are huge in proportion to their head. And I think as they get older, their eyes don't get a whole lot bigger, but of course their body gets 100 times that size. So then they become beady-eyed little evil-looking things. But when they're babies, got those big eyes. It's almost dark enough to hide that weird little oil spot, but every time I go over, it gets even darker. So I've joined other groups on Facebook, sci-fi, fantasy, steampunk. Um, I don't really do that much artwork that's steampunk. I virtually never set out to do something steampunk. Sometimes it just kind of winds up going in that direction. If something starts to have a feel of one thing or another, I just kind of roll with it. Add things that will make it even more so, but I don't have a large body of steampunk artwork, to share. So I've joined a group, I've posted some things. I'm close to already running out of things to post. Yeah, I don't know how much I'll be contributing to that in the future, but it does mean that for the last couple of weeks, I've had a much bigger audience than I'm used to having. And that's been interesting. And of course, that's also why uh, you get haters, because if you're small time and nobody knows who you are, then you don't get any haters. You also don't get any fans. But I've got a handful of fans. Well, he's kind of fun. If I had really thought about it a little bit more ahead of time, like sat down here and said, I know for a fact I'm going to draw a dragon, which I didn't. Um, I probably could have just economized, maybe even cut the piece of paper off right here, get rid of that blotch. I probably could have used my paper better, and that'd be two things because if anybody really felt like buying this, it's probably too big. They probably don't. They probably want it, but not really because it's just too big. So they would probably like it if it was a little bit smaller. So um, yeah, next time. It's been 33 minutes. I know Sharon at least was here, and I appreciate you. I don't know if anybody else was here. I didn't announce again, and even if I had, I was late. But it's Wednesday. I will make an effort. You like the blotch? um, yeah, I could transfer it. I bought a pad of tracing paper that's this size, which actually wasn't uh, real cheap. These are that's 18 inches by 24, roughly. That's what size my newsprint is, and then I I was given a bunch of paper, actually a whole bunch of paper that's about twice this size, which was too big for me to carry home in my life drawing kit. I've got a big zip up kit. Um, so I just wound up taking all this paper and folding it and stuffing it down in my bag. And then when I got home, of course, that it was damaged where I folded it. So I just cut it all in half. So it's roughly 18 by 24. If somebody were to buy it, there's nothing about cropping it that's going to make me mad. You could say, well, I'm sorry, I've got a 14 by 18 frame, and I'm going to cut this thing until it fits. That's fine with me. But yeah, it's when there's sheet. Yeah, I got it. The blotch. Turn the blotch into a spider. A spider. Not seeing it. I'm just not. Could turn it into a fish. Yeah, there's fish swimming past. He looks like a fish. Yeah, see, it's a little fish. Just swimming by in the air. I don't know. I've got more of this paper. Maybe I'll try to make something. I never really am thinking about selling my art when I start drawing. I'm just thinking about drawing. And then frequently I wind up with something that, uh, I mean, it hasn't always been a problem. Well, I have sold things like this, but sometimes people say, "Oh, I really like that," and then when they find out how big uh, it is, then they think, "Oh no, I don't want that." It's kind of cumbersome. It's a poster size basically. If you have a poster frame, that's usually 18 by 24. I think it's one of the standard sizes. Anyhow, I don't know if I've got much more. I will make a conscientious effort tomorrow to be on at 3 o'clock and draw something cool and not complain the whole time. One of those three things will not be true, but we'll see. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for coming. I hope I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll see somebody tomorrow. Thank you for coming, and good night.